Hi everyone. Please find your seat. We will start in 5 minutes. Please find your seat. من احمد رضا چطور سیامک
من علی رضا رو میشناسم.
قربونت برم مرسی
جوش خیلی شبیه علی رضا به خدا احمد رضا
من گفتم عین
Please find your seat. Hi everyone, welcome to another Persian Tech Network in March. I'm Ahmad Reza Masroor, part of Persian Tech Network and the host tonight. As always, we will start our event with startup presentations. Tonight we have one startup that present virtually and one startup will present in person, and then follow the program with the startup with the fireside chat with Babak Suzani from Google Cloud and Siamak Hojjat from Airbnb. Without further ado, I'd like to invite the first startup, which is Ilya Arbabi from Bono Network. Ilya Jan.
You have my voice. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let me first begin with a small introduction about myself and my company. So I'm Ilya. I'm from Iran originally, and 3 years ago I was supposed to come to the US. I had an offer from Columbia, Stanford, Brown to come and do my postgrad there. I was one of the Iranian Olympians, but as luck would have it, when I was trying to apply and come to the US, in Turkey, my family got attacked, and through like a crime syndicate group attacked my family. They stole all of my money. They killed my mother, and I lost my Ivy League opportunities. Despite all of my academic achievements and career and whatnot, all of those dreams went away. So I had to do a hard reset, and this was 2 years ago. And I went and to find legal representation, but I got scammed because I was in a foreign country. I didn't speak Turkish. I had no idea how the legal system worked. And these tragic events were the spark that gave birth to Bono. And 2 years of hard work have passed, and now we're talking with our first batch of serious investors. We've been demoing the product to different lawyers, and people seem to be really enjoying the product that I've built and the solutions that I have created. So what is Bono actually, and what does it do? So apart from the fact that this got created from actual problems, um, the solution that we have created is very unique. So let me explain. We live in a world where from 1973, I believe, onwards, the cost of legal services worldwide has been going up exponentially. And if you want to get legal services or any form of representation, the costs are enormous for most people. So a grand total of the population gets priced out of the system, and this problem gets worse the further away you go from the Western Hemisphere. So if you come to a country like Turkey, it's horrible. Then the second issue is that it is very difficult for the average Joe to find proper legal representation, especially if a case gets complex. So let's say if like an airplane crashes, and if you go and ask people what kind of legal representation do you need to have, do you need to get an aviation lawyer? Do you need to get a lawyer to go after the airline? Do you need a lawyer that is going to represent you in a criminal court if, like, for example, the airplane was attacked by a terrorist? So when you ask this question from most people, even lawyers don't know the right answer. And the third issue that I've identified is that we are living in an ever globalized world where online scams are now an $800 billion or maybe $8 billion. It's a massive number. And apologies, it's 4 a.m. here. I might forget some numbers. But online scams have been increasing rapidly, and there's no recourse because let's say if you're in crypto, for example, and your wallet gets hacked and the criminal is in another country, all of these different jurisdictions and systems are completely disconnected from each other. So the default behavior in these cases for people and even lawyers is to let go. So these were the problems that I started to tackle 2 years ago when all of this happened, to try and make the world a better place. And initially I started with a blockchain of sorts, but that I did idea didn't really fly. So I had to pivot and focus on a way that is more startup friendly, let's say. So currently, I try to identify a business problem that we could tackle and fix those three initial problems. And the way I try to tackle this is look at what lawyers are missing so they can do their work better in whichever country they are. So a global standard for all lawyers worldwide. And I identified that we have had these AI tools come along, and I'm an engineer myself, so I identified that there is a great opportunity here. That a lot of lawyers have to deal with a lot of paperwork, evidence gathering, going through documents, matching with precedents and whatnot. There's a lot of manual research, and the potential for human error goes higher with the more complex a document gets. And this was the tackling point that we started to go through. Now let me go to the next slide. And that brings us to the thing that we create, which is Arbiter, an AI that we worked around 6 months on, which has its own proprietary architecture. And there's a picture of it here. I'll show it to you so you can see the product itself. It's an all-in-one artificial intelligence with a proprietary architecture that I have personally designed, and my team has helped expand. And this architecture, this AI, we have shown it to different lawyers across the United States who have tried our competitors, such as Harvey, Spellbook, and whatnot. And they have collectively said that this gives them more freedom. It's like any other word processor, but on the sidebar, there's the Arbiter chat, which goes and I have given it the ability to ingest the entirety of US law and different jurisdictions and whatnot, so it can ingest and give feedback and create a bespoke document for whatever contract or document that lawyer needs to create. And this is just part of what it does. It can also recommend lawyers. So it's attached with a network. So if somebody is trying to go and find a specific lawyer, Arbiter can recommend that to them. And this is what actually really makes us unique. It's a document contracting, drafting, and analysis, redlining, all those fancy things that the market competitors have, and we also have a network built into that. And the second solution that we had is something called crowdsue.com, which is a crowdfunding platform under the same network. So Bono, the company that I've created, wants to put all of these, the A to Z of all legal services under one umbrella. And we're attacking the market. Our go-to-market strategy is mostly and mainly with both Arbiter and CrowdSue. So the first one is Arbiter that I just showed you, and the second one is CrowdSue, and CrowdSue is the first of its kind crowd litigation platform that uses a special purpose vehicle to fund cases, litigation, mostly litigation that has payouts and potential earnouts at the end, through both crowdfunding, global crowdfunding, and through third-party litigation funds. The third piece of this puzzle is is the network, the high table, as we like to call it, which is a delegated proof of stake blockchain that I have personally designed. And it connects all the different lawyers and law firms across the globe and provides a unified platform for them to communicate and for users to find the right representation or right lawyer. Let's say this specific part of the equation solves the equation that solves the problem that if you go to a foreign country, you don't know who to trust. You can't trust Google Maps because reviews can be bought, and you can't trust or find lawyers on Legal 500 because they do not answer to most people. So with something like High Table, that issue can be solved. The members, the lawyers and law firms that become High Table members, they get funding, they get access to Arbiter, and they get a flow of cases. And for end users, they will get quality representation. So the ratings on High Table are real, let's say. The market opportunity is obvious. The size of the legal services industry is $900 billion. Law firms are finally onboarding technology. There are companies like Harvey, Spellbook, and Thomas Reuters, and all these different companies are popping up left and right. But luckily, our AI has been out competing most of them. So the rest is that who can implement this better and who can get to market better. But right now is a golden opportunity for tech like this and for adapting old ways to make them new, make the industry more efficient and useful and whatnot. And this is our go-to-market strategy. I explained a bit. We want to start aggressively onboarding lawyers and law firms, small to mid-sized law firms on our AI and use them. And the initial reception has been hugely positive. And then we will expand and make our other products, bring them to market. This is a chart of our competition. I explained this as well. I do not want to take everybody's time more than this. And this is the team I've built. This is myself. My co-founder Ashok was one of the earliest engineers at Google. He was the vice president of engineering at Rocket Lawyer. We have Professor Gene Walker, who was part of the SEC and Federal Reserve Board. Michael, one of my best friends, good friend Michael, he was at Saxo Bank, Concordia, and Coinify, the advisor, and he does everything business. And Ivan and Charles are in sales. For our financial and funding ask, we currently have 4 serious investors, but we're attempting to raise $4.2 million to get things off the ground. And this valuation, we give discount on it. Hopefully, I'm personally not too picky, but we generally we're attempting to score somewhere between $4 to $5 million at a valuation of roughly 15-ish%, 15% for 4 to 5 million. Again, apologies if I'm jumbling. It's 4 a.m. And I'm very tired. And these are some of the product slides of the actual applications themselves. This is the most difficult engineering part of Arbiter that we've solved, which is its own memory management. A lot of AIs struggle with large documents, but our AI doesn't. It has a unique patent pending summarizer model that can dissect and chunk a large document into pieces that the AI won't miss critical and crucial detail in. And you can go and try and test it. It's live right now at arbiter.bono.network and see it for yourself. And these are some of the other aspects. This is the High Table Network blockchain. And this is the Bono OS, which we envision would be the go-to platform for regular people when they're looking for lawyers. So they won't go searching for lawyers. They come to us, and we will tell them what they have to do. And this is a picture of CrowdSoup. And hopefully we have a case on this going live soon for 800 million euros, which is a massive case in Europe. And this is one of the stronger parts of the business, which is in parallel to our AI solution. And hopefully we can launch one of the cases here as well. And
Thank
I
you.
believe this is all from me. If any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ilya. Thank you. Any question? We have only one question.
Glad to answer.
Hossein Kuhani from Amazon. Thanks for presentation. I'm curious, what part of this tech you're using blockchain?
So the blockchain is this part. I call it the high table network. But we need approximately at least 10,000 entities to launch it successfully. So it's not online at the moment. We do have a 32-page white paper that I wrote around a year ago, which explains the need for a blockchain for this purpose. And high table is a delegated proof of stake network. So that is this consensus model. And the reason for the fact that I chose a blockchain is that it brings an immutable ledger that is that you can rely on. It can be proven. My end goal with this is that this blockchain becomes hidden almost from sight, and it's a permissioned chain. But its only purpose will be to hold firms accountable. Because one of the biggest issues is that unlike US, where a lot of lawyers have malpractice insurance, for example, if you come outside of the US, that legal infrastructure does not exist. So the same way that in crypto you have DeFi, that people can go and in a decentralized way get loans and whatnot, with high table, we can give this opportunity to lawyers and hide the technical blockchain jargon from them and tell them how this works. Instead of staking Bono, we will tell them you have to put down collateral. The mathematics and engineering is done on a DPoS blockchain, but they will just see a button to put down collateral in their own preferred payment method, and the blockchain method will be there too. But with this way, we will guarantee good behavior from lawyers and law firms. And reason this is that we want to filter out good lawyers from evil lawyers that did things like the things that happened to myself and my family. And this way we can provide a global solution to it. I hope that answered the question.
Perfect. Thank you, Ilya. Thank you. Please.
No worries.
And the next startup is Pensium. Kamyar, the CEO and co-founder of Pensium, will present his idea. Merci.
How's it going, everyone? Well, that was a lot of energy. First of all, my heart goes out to Ilya. I hope he finds peace wherever he is and his family. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I know all of you are very excited to hear the panelists here, but I'm going to be very quick. I'm Cam, the co-founder of Pensium, the CEO of Pensium. The idea behind Pensium was this. We all went to school. We all wanted to do well, especially Persians here. I know you'll appreciate it, with Stanford being right across the state line here. So considering that, we thought, well, how do we personalize education? How do we personalize it to the idea of personalization? You know, growing up, if you had a tutor, if you had that person that could teach you everything, you know, you could have scored high, then end up being, you know, a good career, and so on and so forth. But not everyone had access to that. And that is especially relevant for kids with ADHD and ADD. Why? Because they lack that memorization technique. They have problem memorizing, they have problem applying those techniques in their learning. So we had to come up with a solution. What did we do? How do I go next? Um, where's the clicker? Yeah, I do not have the clicker. Anyways, I'm going to continue. The problem was children in K-12 do not have the adequate educational system right now for them to succeed in their work. It's dull. It's not personalized because they don't feel engaged in the classroom. So they have to have the therapist. Families spend anywhere between $3,000 to $30,000 a year on their kids, just on the simple stuff that we in the general education take for granted. This leads to lack of motivation, and this leads after that to unsuccessful careers. So what we did, there's a lot of text, I'm going to explain it all. What we did, we allow the students, allow the parents to upload their study material. We take that, we help them with the scheduling, we create a micro sessions, we connect to their calendar, and then using reinforcement learning, we try to figure out what sort of teaching and assessment tools work best for them. So as they use the platform, the content adapts and the tools adapt. So let's say I use a platform today for my biology. I upload all the things that I have for biology. Our platform will go through all the content that is uploaded, try to figure out how many sessions, 20-minute sessions, 30-minute sessions I have to take. It will put it into my calendar. Every day I come back to the platform, I will go to the study mode. I will try to read the content, listen to the content, watch the content, and there are questions that are being asked 20 minutes every day. And based on how I answer these questions, the platform will adapt itself. So we launched the Pensim, the first version of Pensim 18 months ago. But the ADHD-focused Pensim was launched 6 months ago. We have brought more than 175,000 users to the platform. We only monetized it partially through paid pilot 3 months ago. We have grown our revenue month to month 30%, about 8% every week. But we're going to commercialize it in 3 months. And the reason for it is ADHD is a the community is very tight-knit. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be very close to it. Parents are very involved in that industry. So they want to have something that they can trust. And building that trust in that market is a little difficult. That's why we're taking our time to get to that market. So who are our competitors? Why does our solution work and no one else's? Well, we are unique in the way that we are approaching it. And the way that we are unique is this. Everyone else, therapists, other tools, focus on planning. Do this. It's like you are forcing the person to do something in terms of planning, but they don't know how to initiate the task. They have to study. They tell me, yes, you have to study every day at 5 p.m. Okay, I will study. But what do I study? That is the problem. We try to connect those two parts, planning and the content. We give them all that. So the task initiation is taken care of. It builds the motivation, builds the habit. And on top of the habit, now you have something called learning. When learning happens, everyone's happy. I know what my parents would be. So our business model. We tried B2B. B2B takes a year long, so we didn't have the budgets in the first year to tackle that. So we thought, well, let's go B2C. Let's go direct to B2C. Right now with the paid pilot, we're selling to families at $30 because we have that. We have a part of the platform that connects, that helps families understand where the kids are, understand what's missing quantitatively and qualitatively. And we have the student part, which is everything that I've talked about. In the near future, we are looking to integrate with coaches and therapists. And that's where we think the golden opportunity lies, because the trust factor that I just spoke about, that is taken care of there. My co-founder Summit is sitting right there. He and I had another business 3 years ago that we exited, and it's a business intelligence tool for cannabis retailers. And it was big data, and we took the same sort of idea using data to figure out what we can do for users, tried to apply it here with a little bit of, I guess, the content generation. And what we are looking for is help from the community. people who can help us with the go-to-market strategy, how can we scale it at large. The 170,000 users that I said that we brought were all pure organic marketing. There was no paid marketing. We didn't talk to influencers. It was just purely word of mouth to people, just sharing it with their friends, with everyone else. I said we launched the platform 18 months ago. In the last 18 months with the same idea, but a year before that, we had brought another 200,000. So all in all, we brought close to 400,000 users just purely by organic marketing. So social media, we got 80 million impressions on social media, just making funny videos and inviting people to use our platform. That's it for me. If anyone has a question, I'd love to answer. Thank you. Was I not supposed to say that?
Any question?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I'm a psychologist, cognitive psychologist. So you mentioned that later, maybe in the future, you need help from psychologists. So could you be more specific about that?
For sure. So
Thank you.
currently we're working with a cognitive psychologist that is helping us craft these tools. So how our system works is we feed our algorithm these tools, and our algorithm will choose based on the person's background and how they're using the platform, how these tools should be shown to the person. What we want to work with psychologists for is helping us craft these tools, but also help us figure out how to integrate it into someone's daily habits for as long as they're studying. This is not a solution for 6 months, 7 months. These ADHD, people who have ADHD, we want to work with them from when they're in junior high to their upper education. So we're talking about 6, 7, 8 years. So tools that they're using at the age of 9, 10 doesn't mean it's going to translate when they're 25 doing their bachelor or PhD. So we want to work with psychologists to craft these tools and help us integrate these tools into someone's life.
Cool. Hey, this is Calvin. So thank you for the presentation. Congrats on getting all the users so far. You said it's about 400,000 users. So question I have for you is that you mentioned that you just went to, started to monetize this, recently. So out of the 400,000 users, how many of those are actually paid users right now? And what's your goal for the next 2 years?
For sure. So we didn't launch the paid version on our website yet. Everything that you see in terms of payment is through our paid pilots. So we bring families to our paid pilot to use it. We have around 700 families that are using the platform right now. Our goal for the future is to obviously launch it for everyone to use it, and we'll see what happens. Again, when we talk about paid pilots and how does that 8% work, we talk to these coaches and all that. We ask them to introduce us to the families. So these families bring other families, and that's how we grow right now.
Thank you, Kamirjan. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Saeed Nesbat, our moderator tonight, to start the fireside chat. Please join me welcoming Saeed. Thank you, Saeed.
While they set it up, maybe I'll start with the introduction. Good evening. Welcome to another session of Fireside Chat. As Kamyar mentioned, the theme for all of us being here is to do better, to do well, to succeed. And part of succeeding in this environment is for you to connect with other people, and that's one of the reasons you're here. Now, until we figure out who is in what area and find a way to connect you with people, like-minded people, or people of the same profession, it's upon you to go and detect who in the audience does something similar to what you're doing, or it could be beneficial to your business. So I do encourage you again and again to make the connection. Don't stick around with people that you know. Talk to strangers. Now, another part of becoming successful is to emulate successful people. So tonight we have a double feature. We have two very successful gentlemen over here who are strikingly different in the way they have defined their success, and you'll find out. There are a lot of similar things between Babak and Siamak, in that they have been friends for decades, and they're still are friends, and they're doing a lot of things. But they belong in two different areas of success, and I want you to raise your antennas and figure out why they are different. So for our first presentation and chat, I would like to ask Babak Suzani to come. Please help me welcome Babak to the podium. You'll take the other seat. Babak, thank you very much for making the time to be here tonight and allowing us to use your experience and your success story to energize us. Can we start the timer, please, Rashad? Thank you. Okay. As a way of introduction, we usually go to the origin story. Tell us a little bit about where you were born, where did you grow up, and what led you to become an engineer? I assume you are one.
Sure. Hello, everybody. First of all, I just want to thank Plug and Play and the organizers, and actually Dr. Tabish, who we all of us know, and we really admire. I was born in Tehran, but my parents were from Mashhad, Mashhadi, and can you hear me, by the way? Yes, okay, yeah. And then when I was only 8 years old, we moved to Mashhad, and I was there until I get my diploma. And then I moved back to Tehran for the university.
Where did you go to university?
I went to Sharif University. Yeah.
And you took the entrance exam. You were in part of concours.
Yeah, concours, yes.
So they know what I'm going to ask you, and you know that. What's your concours rank?
Yeah, that's funny that even after more than 30 years, still that's something considerably important. I became number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Okay. People ask me why I ask this, and a lot of people, including myself, agree that after so many years it may not be important anymore. But it's the reaction that I get from people when I ask that question. I think it's important. It tells a lot about you. So you finished Sharif, and then what happened after that? You were in computer science? Oh, first you were on EE, and then you turned.
Okay, let me explain.
Yeah, you could do it.
Let me add a little color to where I am coming from before talking about the university. The thing here is that I basically was raised in the family that they were even lower than middle class. Mm-hmm. And my dad basically was working in the army, and when the war started, the first day that I was going to the 4th grade, he went to the war zone, and he was in the war zone for 30 days, coming back home only 12 days, going back again another 30 days for 8 years straight. So until I was in the 11th grade. And he, a lot of times, honestly didn't know what grade I am. But one thing that was interesting is that he was always saying that if you become a top student in the class, I give you a good prize. And he always did. So I think that's why I became a good student.
You were Shagird Awal all the time.
I was Shagird Awal for most of the years in the school. And then at that time, especially on the middle class part, there were a lot of pressure that if you are a good student, you have to become a doctor. And there were lots of pressure for me from all of my family. So that was the first time in my life that I went against what it was expected from me. And you can hear it from me more as we go. So one of the things that I'm proud of is that I didn't always go with what it was expected from me. And one of the other reasons was that, you know, if I want to go to the medical school, I could go to Mashhad and I would stay in my home, and the expense was lower. And honestly, that was one of the other reasons my dad wanted me to go to medical school. But, you know, I was Kalishak, and I went to Sharif University, and my dad had to actually sell his car to be able to cover the cost of going to college for me. So he sold his car, he gave some money to one of our family members that had a business, so he was sending some money for me to Tehran, which was not enough for living. So from the first day I went to college, I was also working as tutoring. And it's somehow related to your question. You know, I was in a family that honestly there was no engineer or doctor around me, none of my family members.
You had no model in the family.
Yeah, no, there was no mentor to tell me, okay, what major you have to take. But because I became number 4, you know, all of the top kind of ranking were going to electrical engineering. That's why I went to electrical engineering.
Didn't your dad complain that you didn't become number 1 in concours?
No, you know,
he was happy with your rank.
Yeah, basically,
yes.
he was very happy with that because, and I was the only, the number 1 in Shahristaniha, because the top 3 were from Tehran.
We sliced them very thin.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Okay.
all of them, they had tutors from the people that they're kind of designing the questions for concours.
So you became, you entered as an elected double E at Sharif, which was the highest rank, you know, we know that. And then halfway through it, you wised up and you realized
exactly. That's relevant to what I was
Oh,
explaining.
I'm going too fast. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's right. So basically, I had a close friend that his score was 20,
Okay.
and he decided to go to software engineering. And at that point, software engineering was not as hot as it is today. So up to, I think, ranking 500 or more, they could go to software engineering. But again, I needed the money. I was doing the tutoring, and from the 3rd semester, he started doing programming and making money out of coding. And that was my reason
To
switch.
He said, I'm
out
making
of-
money
yeah,
with
you
this
know.
one. Okay.
And then from the 4th semester, I started working, making money out of coding.
Okay, so you graduated Sharif. Did you work there or did you come to the US after that? What brought you here?
Yeah. Continuing the story, basically, while I was working, especially from the 5th, 6th semester, and maybe I shouldn't tell in front of the Dr. Tabish, I was not a very dedicated student, but still, I was working like crazy and studying like crazy. I still became the top student of the department. And from the semester 5 or 6, I was working about at least 30 hours per week. At the time, I was working for the mayor of Tehran. And
So 30 hours plus your full-time students. then.
full-time student,
Oh,
yes.
wow. At Sharif.
Yeah. And during
Easy university.
and then basically I wrote some program, some office automation program for the Karbashchi mayor's office at that point, that they were using it even several years after I left the country. Anyway, so I started working there as a kind of individual. Then I brought some of my friends to help me out because I get more business. And then by the time I get my kind of a bachelor degree, I had a lot of work coming to me that we established a company called Bomb.Computer. And Bomb.Computer, I was the CEO of the company and the founder. And but a few years later, there was a national project started in the city hall in the Shahdari, which basically I left that company and I became kind of director level in that project. So I worked there in Iran, and at the same time, I got my master's degree from Sharif University, which was really hard, working full-time, more than full-time, and also getting the master's degree. And then 2 years after getting the master's degree, we moved to Canada.
You moved to Canada, you and your family, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
My wife at the time, yes.
And how long did you spend in Canada, and what made you come to the United States?
Yes. So we were in Canada for about 9 years. There was something that happened at that point. You know, you can see by that time I am a very, very hard-working person, trying to be very successful at career and at the same time studying hard to get the best degree that you can get at that time. You know, at the time, there were only 6 people could go to master's degree in Sharif University. And I was one of them. Actually, I was number 2, and the first one also works with me. We are working together in Google, actually. Anyway, but I went to Vancouver in Canada, and my perspective completely changed. Then I saw that the people, unlike the people that I was living with and working with in Iran, and a lot of people that are working and living in here, they care more about the quality of life than career.
In Canada?
In Canada, especially in Vancouver. The people are very laid back.
And you had something to compare with. You had Iran to compare with.
Yes.
Okay.
At that time, yeah. So my focus in career changed. So basically at that point, I cared more about enjoying life and having a work-life balance. And I stick to it up to this point in my life. While I still think that I did well in my career. And we can talk more about it.
You did very well in your career. You worked, or currently you're at Google as a cloud architect specialist. But you have worked for Microsoft also, and I believe AWS as well. So you worked for all these big companies in charge of big data, big solutions. That gives you a unique perspective to all these, in this segment of the companies in the United States. So what have you found? Has this solidified your opinion of work-life balance, or has it changed it?
Basically, I don't know how many people are from AWS here, so hopefully they're not going to get offended. But going to AWS, I couldn't tolerate to stay there for more than 2 years. Basically, it's very hard to have a work-life balance working for AWS.
Was it harder than Sharif?
No, not harder than Sharif.
No,
but I didn't want to have that kind of life,
I
right?
see. Oh.
So one thing that continuing of my previous discussion is that after going to Canada, I spent a lot of time on sports, playing soccer, going skiing, rollerblading, snowboarding, tennis, you name it.
Enjoying life.
I try to enjoy the life.
Were your kids involved at this point with you?
The kids were born in 2003, so they were very young when I was in Canada.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Okay.
We moved to the US in 2007. Okay. Yeah, but when I moved to US, just to make sure that I don't get into the race that exists in the Bay Area, I went to Stanford University, hoping that working for a college is going to have a better work-life balance. Believe it, didn't.
It did.
Anyway.
So you were trying places to see which matches your
Then I
taste.
went to Kaiser Permanente. I had a kind of work-life balance, was related to what I like, which is working in healthcare, and I'm going to talk more about it. But it was just too slow on Kaiser. Then I went to AWS, and basically I realized it's not for me. But one thing I can say is that at the same time, I have a brother who is 19 years younger than me. I referred him to work for AWS because I believe it's a good place for those people. That they don't have a family, you're young, you want to make your career, you are a start of your career, is a good place to work. And then I went to Microsoft. Microsoft, it was a good place to work, in my opinion. And one thing that a lot of people, when I was younger, I wouldn't care about what the company mission is or what the company values are. But believe me, it's very important. So in Microsoft and especially in Google, they have values that I admire, and especially on the Google side, the mission that providing the information for everybody around the globe and make it easy for them to access the information. It's the mission that they're really working on. Anyway, so there were two parts into it. First of all, I could have a work-life balance in Microsoft, and also I really enjoyed working there with the values that they had. One of the things that, just the last thing before you ask the next question, is one of the things that I evaluate the companies is that how much they match the money that you are donating to your favorite charity. That number at that time for Microsoft was about $16,000. Even Google didn't have it. Google has about 10,000 now. I don't know how much is for AWS. I don't know if it's even 1,000. But Amazon. So that's the kind of things that I started to care more about where I'm working.
Let me dispel the notion that some people may think at this point that you're a take it easy guy, you're floating, you're not working very hard, although you said earlier about, but work-life balance does not require you to slacken, in a work. Tell us what your position is and, about the
exactly.
success.
That's a very good question. Yeah, I was not lazy. Don't take it that way. Basically, I still want to have excitement. I still want to learn new things. I wanted to have challenges at job. But on the other hand, I didn't want to have too much stress in my life. So just going back about my career path, when the database was very hot in the 90s, I was a database architect. Around 2000, the ERP systems like PeopleSoft, Oracle App, SAP, they were hot. I switched completely to ERP. So I was an ERP architect. And every time you do the switch, you have to do the study, you have to work hard, you have to prove yourself to be able to change. And I did that. And then when the cloud became hot, around 2012-13, I switched to the cloud. And believe it or not, today I had an interview to become a Gen AI specialist.
Yes.
So that's the hot things at this point. So definitely excitement and challenge was part. I couldn't stay in Kaiser because I was getting bored, honestly. But the other factor besides work-life balance and challenge and all of that is that the meaning of the job. I have spent about 10 years of my career in North America working related to healthcare and life science, and hoping that what I am doing or I have been doing for that 10 years have had some impact that could make the people healthier. I am right now working with the biotech companies that they're developing drugs using AI. And if I can help them to develop a drug one day earlier, and that one day can save a few people's life, I have kind of achieved what I wanted to achieve. Yeah.
So what would you like to advise people who would like to follow your path of success?
This is just different perspective.
Is this for everyone, or
no.
as you found, somebody needs to go back to AWS?
No, this is just a different perspective from what, again, exists maybe in the Bay Area, especially in here. Basically, everybody thinking that they have to have a successful startup to be successful, right? And
well, you could have it. You're not against that.
I am definitely not
against it. Some of our best
it.
friends does that.
And that's exactly where I was going. That Siamak, who is going to talk right after me. And if you get bored with my talk, don't leave, because his talk is going to be more exciting. And he has been part of the 3 success exit from startups. No, definitely I am not against that path. But there are some alternative paths that I decided to take. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, from the career point of view, the success has different meanings, right? And it's also relative. But in my opinion, success is reaching what you wanted to reach. And I believe I reached what I wanted to reach. And a lot of my success is somehow outside my career. So when somebody, Saeed asked me if you feel that you are successful, I said, yes, I do feel successful, but you know why? Because I raised 2 very strong and independent daughters. That's basically my definition of success, my biggest achievement. Or I sponsored all of my family. Again, my family was kind of poor back in Iran, but I sponsored them, and all of them now, they live in Canada and have a much better life that they could back in Iran. So that I consider as my achievement outside my career.
And part of the way I suspect you architected your path was to be reluctant to take on any role but individual contributors, right?
That's absolutely right.
And so that seems to be counterintuitive to raising up in the organization. How did you manage to raise up in the organization, becoming very successful, yet not having the managerial role going up?
I had a good mentor or advisor, and basically in Iran, especially when you're in Iran, everybody want to go up the ladder. And honestly, would that make sense? Because when I was in Iran, when I was a director in that project, I think I was making 3 times of the individual contributors. So there was a huge difference. Coming to North America, there was somebody that said that if you become a good technical person, a good architect, you can be or can make as much as a director makes. And honestly, that has been the case for me at least for the last 10 years. In the last several years, usually my manager has been from the corporate level. There are corporate levels, right? Level 6, level 7 in Google and also Amazon. My level has been higher a lot of times than my manager, and a lot of times equivalent to my manager. So that's a good thing about good companies, that they value if you are good in your technical, you really don't have to become a manager to really get the better salary or get the respect. And I always, and in the last several years, and most of the times, when you do a good job as an individual contributor, your manager respects you. And that's one thing that I have been able to achieve.
Excellent. I would like to do the format a little bit differently tonight. I would like to save the question time for the end, and I would have the question session for both of you. I think it would be interesting. For now, I would like you to thank you for being here and switch to our other speakers. So thank you very much for coming over here. Yeah. But don't leave.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to go because there is one thing that I am prepared to talk about, and I think that's something that the people can enjoy.
Go ahead.
It's about, you said that what you are doing, what do you see the future?
Yes.
Okay. So I am currently working with pharma companies and biotech companies that they are developing drugs. And one of the questions that Saeed asked me when we were preparing was that, okay, what do you think going to happen down the road, right? And how AI can help on drug development. This is a very hot topic at this point. So at this point, the drug development takes about 12 years. And it costs, and some numbers is definitely more than 1 billion. And some numbers are 2 billion.
For a single drug.
For the single drug to be developed. 12 years, $2 billion.
Wow.
When it comes to the drug development, basically there is a protein that you have to find out that has impact on the disease. Mm-hmm. And then there is a compound that you have to find that can attach to that protein to make it become a drug and solve the problem.
Active, yeah.
Okay. And that's the area, and the problem is that there are lots of data. There are lots of shapes of data, proteins, and lots of compounds. And that's the LLM actually has come to play. And there are companies like Isomorphic or Recursive that they are using AI to kind of expedite the drug development process.
AlphaFold does that too.
That's exactly where I was going. Oh. So basically the other part is that once you find out the protein, you have to see that how protein shape is. And that's where AlphaFold, Google actually, Google DeepMind came up and made it open source to be available to everybody. So it shows how the protein gonna look like, that shows how the compound may attach to it. So they call it the target and the lead ID. And that's where AI gonna help. There is one other area that AI is really helping. Knowing that drug development is about 12 years and 2 billion, not a lot of pharma companies have invested in kind of rare disease, finding the drug for the rare disease. So one of the other things that's happening is that they are using the AI, they are testing that the drugs have been developed already. Maybe they're gonna have a positive impact on the rare disease. And that's also a very hot topic these days.
Excellent.
I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
that you wanna kick me out, but I stay.
No. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you later, but you were preempted. Thank you very much. But this is the first part. You're not going away. I mean, you're going to sit down, and I'm going to switch to Siamak. But you're going to come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, you want to come up here? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No. Go ahead. Give him a warm welcome. Siamak Hoca.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for making the time to come over
Sure.
here. You saw the format, and you asked me earlier not to ask you difficult questions.
Yeah, I'll just talk about my life. That's fine.
What was your concours?
Oh. Everybody has to answer that one. Mine was 3 digits, not
Yours
1
3
digit,
digits.
so I didn't have to go to electric engineer.
But it
I went
hasn't-
straight to software engineer. Oh,
But your three-digit concours ranking hasn't stopped you becoming successful.
sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's start from the other end. You worked on Siri. That was the company that you contributed to, or you started?
No, I was one of the first
Principal
engineers there.
engineers.
I was not a co-founder,
But
but it was fun. It was really
But when
fun.
they sold Siri to Apple, you did well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did well. I think not just because of the financial side of it, but also like it's a good thing to have on your resume. I say I worked on Siri, like a startup before even it was acquired, and everybody knows what it is. Gives you a little bit of prestige.
Everybody
you know.
knows Siri,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody knows it.
Now, how many other startups did you work on, or did you found?
I worked on 5 startups. I founded 2. The first one was like 25 years ago. I guess when I just came to US, my brother founded that one. I was one of, again, like I think I was second engineer. Then that was bought by, back then, a company called Sybase. They don't exist anymore. The next one, do you want me to go through them all?
No,
Or- yeah.
maybe we should switch to that
Yeah.
last one that was bought by Airbnb, right?
Oh yeah, that was, I started on that one I forget, 2020, I think, early 2020 I started on that one, called Game Planner. We were still in stealth mode actually, very small startup when Airbnb decided to acquire us.
And you know, that was very, very successful. So you've had these series of very high energy, high stress environment that you put yourself in. You did very well, but your friend with whom you play soccer every week hasn't been able to persuade you to do it like he does.
Yeah, I don't think I was in a lot of stress, but
Oh, you were?
yeah, that's okay. It's just fun.
I imagine how successful you would be if you were under stressful environment.
Well, I should say, when I started at Siri, it was kind of stressful. The startup days, more than after the acquisition, because the expectations were very high. Our CEO back then really wanted us to work really hard.
And you worked hard. And you
Yeah,
did
I
get the
worked hard.
results.
And but, I liked working
Okay.
hard.
So let's go
no
back
complaints.
now to the origin, see what made you you. What elements in the environments in your family and where you were, brought up and what universities? We already know you went to Sharif, right?
Went to Sharif.
So what
that's
happened
right.
before that? Where were you born?
I was born in Tehran.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a professor in the university. He's now retired. He's still very active. He still, sends me articles that he
What
wants
did he
to
teach?
publish.
What did he?
He was in entomology, looking at insects and cockroaches and stuff.
Biology, Mason. Yeah.
Biology, kind of, yeah. But very, very loved what he did. Very much into science, and he wanted me to become a scientist. He took me on big, long hikes, and we looked at all the insects on the plants and stuff. He really wanted me to follow his. He didn't want me to become a doctor. He wanted me to become an entomologist.
And why didn't you become an entomologist? Because you were Shagir Aval and a Shagir
No,
Aval.
I was not Shagir Aval. Like my school wasn't a big school in the first place. But it was not a famous school it was Ali ibn Musa Razai, but nobody heard of it. Like one small school, not that many people even made it to college. I was not even in the top 5.
So what's your secret of success? What made you from a small school that you don't have models? Your father was a big influence for you to succeed.
My father was, but I also have an older brother, and I think he was a big influence. He was accepted in Sharif too. I think he was still 3 digits, kind of on the border.
So did you enter as a double E major in Sharif?
He entered.
No,
he was
I'm talking
computer software.
You started with computer science.
Yeah, I didn't.
And you got your bachelor's and master's there, or when did you come to the United
I got my bachelor. I was not accepted for master's. I was accepted at Amir Kabir. Amir Kabir چی میشه؟
Amir Kabir? That's the name for the Polytechnic.
Polytechnic,
Yeah.
Amir Kabir, yeah.
And
So
then what
sorry,
made you?
Sharif people.
What made you?
I wasn't good enough for your school.
What made you come to the United States, or did you come directly? Did you go to Canada?
I went to there was this scholarship by Japan called Mombosho. They paid for the entire thing. They paid for their airplane tickets, everything to Japan.
You
I
studied
went
in Japan for how many years?
Well, I stayed there for less than a year, and then so I went there. I had to study Japanese first. That was part
You were
of the
studying in Japanese.
I was studying in Japanese, but my PhD program was going to be in English. Yeah, it was hard, and it was part of their cultural program. That was why they were paying all that money, because they wanted to.
So you spent 1 year over there.
Yeah, and then my brother, who also used to be studied PhD in Japan, he came to US, started a company, came back, said, "Xia, come join me."
In California.
Yeah.
In California.
Yeah.
So you came over here.
So I quit my PhD program, came here.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. I see. Okay, now you tell us.
Yeah.
You were enticed by your brother's successful company. He wanted to have more help, and you came and helped his company, and you liked it, and you stayed.
It seemed like very exciting. He took me to a McDonald's, gave me some pancakes, and I fell in love with whatever US is. And I still go have pancakes every week.
So what made the transition between, you coming over here to help your brother, to a person who discovers, I can do a lot of things in this environment, doing software or learning the technology and becoming successful? What ignited that in you?
Well, I really loved, when I started working with my brother in that startup, it was still about AI and AI assistance. I really loved the work, and we were dreaming really big, like we're gonna do this and that. And, maybe it didn't happen the way we wanted it to in that first startup, but it basically seeded Siri in many ways.
So that was a precursor to
It
Siri.
was a precursor to Siri. One of the founders of Siri used to be the VP of engineering in that first startup I was working with my brother, and it was based on a PhD thesis of someone who was his PhD was based on my brother's PhD, which was like seeded the first company. So like when I started, so when the old VP of engineering, my old VP of engineering, who later become my co-founder in my last company, when he came and asked me to join Siri, when he told me what it was about, I knew it I knew exactly how it's going to work, because it was pretty much based on
What you had thought about
the
in
work we were
previous-
doing at this first company. It was called Dejima. Yeah.
Siamak, what do you do now? What is your day-to-day activity? What are
At
your
Airbnb,
problems?
is
Yes.
anybody from Airbnb here? If not, I can be honest. I really don't do much. It's like they bought us. They're still kind of figuring out.
How many people?
We were very small. We were, we started with this almost seed money. My team is just 6 people. In total, we were 12.
12 when they bought the company
They-
for
yeah.
$400 million.
Well, no, it wasn't that high, but
Okay,
I
maybe half
cannot
of that.
disclose. It's, I think, leaked anyway. But
Okay, and then right now you are just waiting for them to get their ducks in a row to figure out what.
well,
they
we're doing.
what
So
what
far
needs to
it
be
was
done?
been a very different acquisition than the previous ones. With Siri, they bought us from day one. They had a plan, or we worked together and we had a plan of how we wanted to get the Siri.
They
Siri
is
out.
Apple.
Apple.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were working closely with their leadership. The plan was set 2 years before Siri was launched, and we worked. Again, the next company, but startup after that one, still on. Again, it was another AI assistant. It was a platform to build AI assistants. Samsung bought that one. Again, there was a plan. They wanted to use that platform, and they used it to build Bixby, which is on Samsung phones and devices. Again, we had a plan, we started. With Airbnb, it was not that they didn't, obviously they didn't have a plan the way the other companies had. They had a dream, they still have a dream, and we share that dream with them, but it's been harder to come up with the right plan to execute, and there's many reasons for it. So right now in a year and more than a year now that I've been at Airbnb, we're basically exploring how we can transition the app they have to something that is more AI prominent.
More than a year at Airbnb.
Yes, it's been a
And
year
the rent is
4
piling up.
Huh?
And the rent is piling up.
The rent is yeah, it is.
What is your plan for Airbnb? They don't have a plan. What is your plan?
No,
How long is
I can't
Jim
say
gonna-
they don't have a plan. They I love the CEO. He's so first of all, he's a very good guy, a very nice guy, someone you like to work with. He has a vision, a very high-level vision, but he doesn't know how to get there. And although we're working together to try to find that path, we're getting close, but we're not
Well,
there yet.
my question is, what do you think you need to do? What is your vision
Please
of
don't
it?
say these anywhere outside the sign. I'm talking too much here.
What would you like to do? Do you want? I assume there is a sign-up period that you need to be there for at least 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be there until I want to be impactful. I want to do something really important. So
You
as
want
long
it to
as I
succeed.
have that dream, and as long as there's a path for it, I want to.
Well,
be
what is
there
that
and stay.
dream? What you have an AI assistant that would like to help them. Help them what? What would be the if what you are envisioning is implemented properly? What would Airbnb do that it cannot do now in 2 years, in 1 year, in 6
Well,
months?
I mean, it's not just me or my co-founder. It has to be something that their leadership agrees to. So I can say.
What's your vision?
So when we started,
I want to do. I
yeah.
want to separate you from what they can or cannot do. What
well,
is it
we,
that
we
you
want
think
to
you
do
can do?
something major, big, and it's something like actually the CEO agrees on it too. We want Airbnb started with like an app-first mindset. They wanted to be on mobile. I mean, all their designs, they designed it for mobile first, not the web. Even since they started like 7, 8 years ago, or maybe longer. Now we want to make it an AI-first company. And that's the vision. We share that vision with Brian. That's why part of the negotiation, that's why we decided to sell the company. When you are talking about it at a high level with the CEO, everything looks okay. But when you get into the realities of what the app is, how it's making money, what are the customers, things are different.
What does it mean for Airbnb to be an AI company? What would the customers see? What would the interaction be? Do you have any inkling on?
So I give you my vision.
Yes, that's what.
Which might not be what it turns out to be. I think I like the same way that I talk to a real assistant to help me, which is usually my wife, plan the trip and everything. She does a very good job of researching, coming up with ideas, showing me options. I want the AI to be able to do that, but collaboratively. Like if I'm going on a travel with my friends, family, or wife, I want us all to be able to collaborate with AI, plan the trip, and you know the whole thing. Except, you know, Airbnb is not yet a travel planning company. They just
A connection company.
yeah, they
between-
basically are selling these stays, like these short-term. They have these short-term stays, short-term rental kind of a thing. That's their business. It's different. They want to expand. There are some ideas. So I don't know if I answered or not, but that's how I think of it. Like AI would be first. There are UI elements there. I don't think they're going to go away when you sometimes like just using the controls on the device is much easier than trying to come up with the words to ask for it. When it's there, you want to touch it, but sometimes what you want to ask for is, you know, you can't even find it anywhere in the UI. Or if it's there, it's so
difficult to
hard to
dig, yeah,
navigate.
yeah. Let me ask you to give an advice to budding entrepreneurs who are sitting in the audience. If you were to give yourself an advice like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and you were sitting over here, what would you tell yourself or the people who have the aspiration of doing it big like you did?
To go start a startup or?
Yeah, that's what you did, yes.
Yeah.
What are the do's and don'ts of following your path?
So for a startup, you know, first, I mean, there's some obvious things. Maybe I can start with those. Like you have to have a good idea. Your idea should have a market. It's not as easy. Like there's many ideas there, but the market piece might be missing, or there might be so much competition that it would be really hard to find a market. You should know, you know, there should be a practical way to build that idea. So, I mean, you have a lot of, you know, high in the sky ideas, but
It shouldn't be just an idea. You should have an MVP.
Yeah. And then really, what really matters is to find the right team, and that's really hard. Like, and the team, you can't be the whole team. Like, you could be maybe the visionary. You could maybe also be the guy who's implementing it, but you can't be like also the guy who's marketing it or deciding how to put it in a roadmap, and build it as a product. So you need partners.
That's what I tell people. Sometimes individuals come to me and say, I have an idea, I want to build this. And who's your partner? Say, I'm myself.
Yeah, and you have to have the partner that complements you.
You have to have a complement down.
Yeah, and you have to, think about all the four aspects that you need. And maybe in different stages, maybe in the early stages, you want to just build a proof of concept that just to make yourself, just to prove to yourself that it's possible, which is a very good idea. But at some point, to implement it, you need to find the right partners.
And what would you tell people about financing it? Should they finance it themselves, friends and family, or should they try to get some professional firms involved? Plug and play can help in between.
I'm sure. I'm here. They're the host. I should say plug and play is the best place to start this.
We're plug and play. Yes.
But yeah, I wouldn't. Well,
is there a formula that
there is no formula.
There's no formula.
There is no formula. The way we've done it since all the 4 or 5 companies I've been part of, startups, we've relied on investors. They're very important, but you have to basically be very grateful and you have to be grateful when there are people who would actually put their money down for you to work on your dream, and for whoever that would join you to build that dream. But it takes out some of the stress from, if it's your own money or friends and family. I think that's just too much stress.
Okay. Well, at this point, I would like to use the question time and go with the plan. You stay over here, and I would like to ask Babak to come and sit in this seat. And I would ask for another microphone. Do we have a third microphone over here? Ahmad Reza Jan. Rashad?
I can pass the microphone.
No, it's okay. I want to go in the audience. Yeah.
Sure.
I want to ask the question. You
Okay.
sit down. Hello, do we have a microphone over here?
All of the questions going to come to you. So,
Thank you. Perfect. I would give myself the privilege to ask the first 2 questions. I want you to tell a story about the other one. Because since you have been friends, you can tell us about your friendship a little bit. And then tell us a story that you know about him that it's interesting.
yeah,
We start with Babak.
we are friends for 35 years or so, right?
35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about 16 years that we play soccer together every Sunday. But the funny part is that we never talk about technology and our jobs. We always just talk about the soccer, what team has won, and we play ping pong together too. One thing about Siamak is really cool. And basically working in these startups, being successful, not having stress, and especially not passing the stress to the family. I believe he attending all of his son's soccer games, and he spent a lot of time with him, which I really admire.
And
I'm coming straight from his game, actually.
Okay, there you go.
And Siamak, how about you telling us something about Babak?
A story about Babak?
Yes.
Don't say the bad things, okay?
No, I'm not going to say. Yeah, one memory I have with Babak is I usually came to the university, went to some of my classes, not even all of them. I skipped a lot. And I went back home. I could never spend time in the school. I like home. I like to be at home. Even now, not much outgoing. I like to stay home, do my work, or spend time with family, watch TV. But one day when I was there, and Babak said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." He said, "Come, let's get some Coca-Cola." This is a very silly story, sorry. It's just the one that came to my mind. We went there and we got Coca-Cola.
We hold you responsible for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
And we
remember
sat down on the grass and drank the Coca-Cola. It was so delightful for me. And I thought, okay, this place is not that bad. We could just sit down on the grass and drink Coca-Cola.
I guess I was good in making friends.
So you brought up this question. Why don't you talk about technology among yourselves? Let's start with Babak first. Why
I-
don't you talk about technology?
I honestly don't know. We really enjoy talking about soccer and ping pong.
Oh, you have other things
yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
And why do you think that's the case? Is this the same, Siyama?
We
Yeah,
are
I
very
mean,
Why
we
don't you
talk
talk
about
about-
technology a lot at work,
I
so
see,
it's
I
much
see.
more fun to not talk about it.
Okay, I would like to ask you to come up with your questions, or if you have any questions, raise your hand, and you can ask either gentleman or both of them. Over there, we have one. Say your affiliation.
Ali Khorasani from Invisalign. Is it just quick question? Who is the better soccer player?
Siamak is.
I agree.
If you look at him, we are
Good
the same
question.
age, but he looks 10 years younger. And in the soccer, he runs twice as much as I run.
Next question is over here.
Hello, thank you for the great talk. I really enjoyed it. This is Hamid. I'm a graduate student and data science intern at Tesla. Oh, sure. So this is Hamid. I'm a graduate student and intern at Tesla. My question is for the starters in their career, how would you compare going to a top university and doing hot top research versus going to industry right away? And my second question is, which team do you support in soccer?
Which team?
Yes.
Barcelona.
Which soccer team, I assume? Yes, what's your yeah. What was the first question?
Barca.
Did you get the answer to the first question? No.
Go ahead, Siamak.
Did you see their game today? Lamine Yamal. Okay. So the first, who should answer?
Either one of you or both of you.
All right.
Did you direct it to anyone?
Yeah, so I basically, it's about opportunities. Like, that's the one important thing. Like, once, in every now and then, some opportunities appear. And then if you take, you might want to take advantage of it. So, I know, like, in all these big companies especially, they have, it's really helpful to have, let's say, PhD or master's. They actually have formulas on how you get promoted. I'm dealing with that right now at Airbnb, trying to promote to one of my engineers, and he doesn't have enough years of experience and doesn't have a PhD, and it's becoming a problem. But he's really great. He has like experience in generative AI, which is not that many people do have that, and like actually getting something out with generative AI successfully. This guy has it, but he doesn't have the PhD. So the formulas and the years of experience. So the formula says, yeah, he can't be promoted. So I have to fight really hard to get him promoted. But on the other hand, he decided not to pursue PhD, take an opportunity to work on some generative AI application at Apple with their customer support stuff that actually is shipped. And as I said, like there's not that many people who have that. And to me, that's so much more valuable than somebody who has PhD, 25 years of experience, but hasn't really ever even chatted with ChatGPT, let's say.
Thank you. Before we ask the next question, can I ask those people over there who are chit-chatting, excuse me, hello? Can I ask those people who are chit-chatting to take the conversation outside? Because we hear you and it distracts us. Thank you. Okay, next question over there.
Hi, can you hear me? My name is Ryan Sadat. My name is Ryan Sadat. I'm 25. I'm currently working at Inquis Medical. It's kind of become a family company. My parents were the co-CEOs, and I'm 25. I'm currently in the middle of a career pivot. I always knew growing up that I wanted to work in the medical device industry because, like, who wouldn't want to save people's lives and, and make money at the same time? But I'm while I'm working at a company with my parents, obviously I'm not working under them. I'm working under another boss. And
What's your question, please?
yeah. So my question is, this is mainly for Babak, but please, Siamak, feel free to chime in too. Babak, you came in to a lot of situations where you were kind of the underdog. You had probably less than the people around you. I'm in a very different but possibly similar situation where I feel a little bit underqualified for some of the things I need to do in my day-to-day, and it's a very high-intensity startup. I was wondering how you recommend to learn and become more qualified when you're in a situation where you feel underqualified, and if you guys have ever been in a situation where you needed to learn a lot of information really fast in order to succeed in basically what you were doing.
Thank you for your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, I was good at it. Not knowing about, I didn't study medical schools or even biology. Coming to this firm, I started taking courses. There is something called Harvard Medical School online courses. And I have taken a lot of courses there, like in genomics and pharmacology. So basically, the key is working hard and learning. And for learning, even though I said I want to have a work-life balance, but every time that I changed fields, for at least 6 months, I was working long hours, and mostly on learning the new things, which I was really also enjoying. So I don't have any specific things except that finding the right material, right training materials, and spending a lot of time to learn them.
We have 2 more questions. One, the gentleman with the microphone, and then your question.
Hi, my name is Behzad. I'm a data scientist at Stanford. My question is about the career development. You mentioned you came to US in 2007, if I'm correct. So there is a big difference between the situation that we have in 2025 in 2007. If you want to draw and develop your career, I would like to see what you advise us. For example, what changed compared to 2007 and 2025? The AI changed everything. I'm not sure this is good or bad, but in terms of career development, what you advise us to do based on this situation, under these conditions, because all the conditions change, and so finding a job and going to interview or finding a good position for yourself is very, very hard now. So
let him answer the question. Yeah, thank you.
Can I go? Yeah. So basically, at any time, something is hot. Right now, there are not a lot of open positions, but even today, a lot of companies, they are hiring MLAI, MLAI specialists. So, and let me tell you the story. Do you know there is only one company that has always been in the top 5 most valuable companies in the last 25 years? Only one company. Microsoft.
What was it?
Is Microsoft that has been always in the last 25 years at least has been in the most valuable companies. And you know how they do it? Whatever becomes hot, they start investing in it. I think in the career could be something similar. In my case, when the cloud became hot, I spent a lot of time to learn about the cloud and work for the best cloud provider. In this time, if you know MLAI, you're going to find a job. But you have to spend a lot of time to learn it. And answering the previous kind of question, I have twin daughters, and one of them just got graduated from Berkeley. She's like when I was young, very ambitious. She finished Berkeley double major in 6 semesters. And I'm telling her, okay, don't you want to get the master or PhD? And she says, no, I want to work, and I can learn more by working for a good company than getting a degree. And she started working for Databricks, actually. So I hope I answered your question too.
And the last question goes to the gentleman over here.
Hi, this is Said Karimovdi. I'm software manager in Amazon AWS. So, question for both of you, technology leaders, basically. At your position, I believe, you're expected to set vision for your technology area for the next 2-3 years. My question is when you come up with a vision, how you personally get enough confidence that, because the vision, the decision you make, it changed the industry, right? At your scale, at the scale of your project. How you get enough confidence that this is the right thing that I'm telling my team to do, and how to sell your idea to your leaderships?
I think that's the question to you.
Well, first you have to believe in it. Even if you have doubts, you have to put those away. And when you're talking about it, you have to talk about it like it's going to happen, and make your team believe in it too. You can never really perfectly figure out what exactly you have to do in 2-3 years. But over time, you get a better idea on how to put together a vision. You have to study, in my case, I had to study, or whatever company you're at, or whatever division you're working at, you have to study the past and the business side, everything, who is your customer, how often, let's say, they come to your website or use your app, and make sure what you are proposing is something that would work for that customer, for your users. So it can't be just something you make up. It should be, and believe me, we join Airbnb, for example, and we look at all the explorations they did, and they've done so many. And it took us some time, actually a few months, to go back and look at all the designs and all the ideas, all the things you can't believe they were looking at. But you have to do that, do your homework, and then you can kind of learn from things that didn't work, kind of get an idea of what new things that might work now based on the new technologies available. And then each one of us has a background and some beliefs on, what you want to take your product to be.
Thank you. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure to have you over here as our guest for our fireside chat. And on behalf of the Amidi Group, Persian Tech Network, and Plug and Play, and the Persian community, Iranian community in Northern California, I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ochacha. And now we come to the networking part. Siamak and Babak are going to be here if you have some questions for them. Otherwise, mingle among yourself, and remember, talk to strangers and try to find out your future company's partners. Good night.